It is 4 p.m. We're redeveloping news.
And the stories behind the headlines. This is Storycon. I'm Regina Lay.
I'm Ed Lingao. Some stories for watching this Monday, February 23. The confirmation of charges for former President Duterte will begin at 5:30 p.m. today at the International Criminal Court. Duterte is not attending in person and will be represented by his lawyer, Attorney Nicholas Kaufman, and a Filipino legal team. The former chief executive faces 3 counts of crimes against humanity, with more than 500 alleged victims of extrajudicial killings involved.
Mayors and governors from across the Philippines gathered at Malacanang this morning for the launch of the Sa Bagong Pilipinas, Bawat Bayan Makikinabang program. The program aims to fast-track support for local government units, such as providing food, health, education, and livelihood assistance directly to communities. Among those present at the event were former Vice President, now Naga City Mayor Leni Robredo, Pasig City Mayor Vico Soto, and Quezon City Mayor Joy Belmonte.
Meantime, Senate Foreign Relations Panel Chairman Erwin Tulfo and Foreign Affairs Secretary Teresa Lazaro met with Chinese Ambassador Jing Quan today. The meeting comes amid heated exchanges between the Chinese Embassy and Philippine officials on the West Philippine Sea. Tulfo's office said the officials held talks focused on maintaining open communication lines between Philippines and China through diplomatic channels. Tulfo described the sit-down as productive, adding that a code of conduct in the West Philippine Sea was likewise discussed.
And it's the first day of lawyer Melvin Matibag as the new director of the National Bureau of Investigation. The former Duterte appointee vowed to follow the agency's mandate and hold all offenders accountable regardless of political or personal connections. He also urged agents and staff to cooperate and ensure the success of the NBI.
Well, malinaw ang instruction ng Pangulo na dapat yung mga krimen ay pananagutin. Dati kung nasa kabila, ngayon nandito, sana wala tayong linyang ganon. Kasi ang mga nanunungkulan tayo base sa mandato ng iyong ahensya, hindi dahil sa mga personalidad na naglagay sa iyo.
Okay, big day today. What can we expect from the first day of former President Rodrigo Duterte's confirmation of charges hearing? Let us bring in Attorney Mike Tu. He's the head of International Criminal Law of the International Criminal Law Program of the UP Institute of International Legal Studies. Professor Tu, welcome back to Storycon. Thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Ed and Regina. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir. I guess I wanted to start by taking a quick step back and telling everyone exactly what the significance of this confirmation of charges hearing is. We've tackled it in the past, but of course, people might have forgotten. So I wonder if you could talk us through that quickly.
Yes, so it is significant in 2 respects. First is that it is kind of the make or break stage in this proceeding, because if the charges are not confirmed, then no trial will proceed, although there is an appeal that can be availed there. So it is significant in that sense because it is the stage that could tell us whether there is a trial at all. The other significance of this is the first time that we will get to hear the substance of the prosecution's case against the former president, and also what his defense might look like. So this is, and also that it will give a platform to the victims to also state their case against the former president. So it is significant in that it will give us the narrative of what this trial might look like if it happens.
Prof, for the benefit of those who have not tuned in to this issue until today, because today is the big day nga, what's the closest thing that we have locally that people can relate to as far as a confirmation of charges is concerned? What's the closest parallel we have?
There is really, I hate to say it, but there is really nothing that resembles it. I'm tempted to say that arraignment might be close, but even then, not really, because arraignment already is a stage where the charges have been confirmed. So here, maybe what can approximate it is the stage before a public prosecutor when you file a complaint and they determine whether there is probable cause or not, and therefore that will spell the difference between having an information or not. But here, this is a stage where the prosecutor already has determined that it will be filing a case, but it is a chamber of the court that will decide whether it will proceed at all or not. So there is really no analog to it. But maybe if you want to think of it in the pretrial sense, maybe arraignment, but they're also really very different.
So, pero parang mas malapit siya sa preliminary investigation, I suppose? Hindi rin?
Yes, in some sense, pero hindi rin because yung preliminary investigation, nasa harap siya ng prosecutor and yung prosecutor magdedesisyon pa lang. But ito yung prosecutor nakadesisyon na na magpa-file siya ng kaso. So it's really in the middle of an arraignment and a preliminary investigation.
And the benchmark that we're looking at, or the threshold that we're looking at, we keep coming across that phrase substantial evidence that shows the crime was committed and the crime was committed by the accused. How exactly do we qualify substantial? What exactly does that mean?
Yeah, so the actual standard is sufficient evidence to establish substantial grounds. So what that means in application is that the prosecutor should be able to show concrete and tangible proof which demonstrates a clear line of reasoning. So the prosecutor should be able to establish the connection between the alleged conduct and the crime, and the connection, at the second level, the connection between the suspect and the crime. So it can't be that the evidence will just show some inferences or some presumptions. It has to be concrete and tangible proof that shows a clear line of reasoning.
Thank you for pointing out the processes to us, Professor Tu. You're absolutely correct. There are 3 outcomes that are possible at the end of this week. Number 1, they confirm the charges and send the case to trial. Number 2, they decline to confirm the charges. Or number 3, they can adjourn and ask the prosecution for more evidence to amend the charges. Could you talk us briefly through the latter two? Because the first one is pretty clear. Okay, they say, okay, you have substantial grounds to send the case to trial. But what will it take for the pretrial chamber to ask for an adjournment and ask for more evidence, for the prosecution for more evidence?
Yes. So for the adjournment, if the chamber sees that there is something, that there is some truth to the allegation based on the evidence so far, but they deem that the evidence will not be sufficient at this stage to establish the threshold, then that's a possibility that they'll adjourn and they'll ask the prosecutor to present more evidence. Or if they see that the evidence points to a different crime than that charged by the prosecutor, then maybe it's an opportunity to adjourn it and allow the prosecutor to amend the charges or the case before the former president. So that's as opposed to if they don't see at all any chance that the evidence will show, then they will just decline to confirm.
Okay. So there's also a possibility that they could amend the charges that he's facing at the moment.
Yes, that's correct.
How significant is it that former President Duterte himself declined to appear today, waived his right to appear, that is?
Legally, it's not significant because the lawyers will present his case anyway. I suppose the downside is that this would have been the first opportunity for the victims to be able to state their case in a room where he is present. And therefore, I think that's part of maybe the justice that they are seeking. But in terms of the legal repercussions, there wouldn't be too much of an impact because at this stage, anyway, in the mind of the tribunal, he is not yet an accused, and also he is presumed innocent.
Prof, a lot of the cases that are brought before the ICC are, of course, leaders of states or countries. And then there are attempts to make the connection between these leaders and what happens downstream. I'm wondering exactly what kind of what threshold again the ICC looks at in determining how to make the connection between the people on top or the people in charge of a particular country and the crimes that are committed downstream.
And I guess we should also point out that he will be the first Asian head of state to face trial if it comes to that. At the ICC, I mean. Go ahead, Prof.
Yes, that's correct. So it's the same standard that there should be sufficient evidence to show that that there is a link between those at the top and those who are actually implementing the orders. And so I suppose that the prosecutor will present testimonial evidence on the part of those who may have been ordered or who may have been induced, and to identify him specifically. The other part of the liability comes because or in the form of being aware. So even if it is not shown that he is explicitly ordered the killings, then it is enough that it is able to show as well that he was aware that the killings would occur in the ordinary course of events and did not try to stop it or was just willfully ignorant.
Oh, sir.
But isn't that a much lesser crime to know that that such things were happening under your watch, but you didn't do anything to stop them, versus someone
Orders
potentially, hypothetically ordering the killing of ordinary citizens. That's a much lesser crime, isn't it?
I think they're the same, different forms of the offense, which is that you still controlled. So the critical point here is the control that he exercises over the people. So ordering is one form of control, inducement is another, or the ability to correct the conduct of your subordinate is also one form of control. And in that case, maybe there is a point to be made about, because there's also one of the charges which is aiding and abetting. So maybe if they are not able to prove that he was a principal perpetrator here, indirect co-perpetrator, maybe there's liability under aiding and abetting. But that's really an alternative submission for the prosecution because their evidence certainly points that he is, in layperson's terms, the mastermind of this.
I think, sir, that's interesting for a lot of people. So you're saying that the mere awareness of a country's leader that the crimes are being committed during his watch and his failure to address these issues could potentially be taken against him.
Yes, but I should say that awareness occurs in a context, and the premise there is that they still created a common plan or policy to neutralize, right? And whether that common plan or policy includes in it an explicit order versus a situation where they created the policy and they were aware that out of that policy, someone will carry it out even without an explicit order, that doesn't make a difference in terms of the liability.
Sir, one more for me. What about having to prove that there was a systematic attack on civilians? How systematic?
The prosecution called a common plan that Duterte was the, as you said, mastermind of.
Yeah, so the systematicity of this comes from there being a policy that is not a random occurrence or a series of random events. There is something that ties them together, and that is that the policy was set at the top.
Okay. Okay, pahabol pa ako, sir. We have heard at least one time, or possibly even two, when as President Duterte said that his only sin is extrajudicial killing. I remember that. I just forget the year. But he said that once in one of his speeches. I'm wondering, well, of course, but of course, when you ask his spokesman, they would usually say that the president's given to hyperbole and exaggeration. Paano yung pagtitimbang nun?
Oh, how would his own admission factor into the case?
Paano pagtitimbang nun? Kasi, some people would say, palabiro yung presidente, they have to factor in, the local context or possibly the local culture or the local behavior and, and how he really talks. Paano yung pagtitimbang nun?
Right. I think they're not going to take that statement in isolation. So it'll be taken with all the other statements that he has said about protecting those who might do the killing, giving them immunity.
Yeah,
and
the police.
also, it's not like the statement was made just as a statement. Something actually did happen. Somebody actually did die from the implementation of the policy. So it's not going to be an isolated statement.
Prof, I wonder if you could weigh in on the 9 co-perpetrators that the court named a few weeks ago. Chief of them, of course, are Senators Bato de la Rosa and Bongo. What do we understand about why they did that, why they publicized that list, A, and B? But somebody told us that just because they've been named co-perpetrators doesn't necessarily mean they will be charged. Is that correct?
Yes, so that is correct. First is, I think they were named because they are a necessary part of the story that the prosecutor will be making today, right? So today, everything will be laid out, and therefore it doesn't make sense to keep secret the names of his co-perpetrators or alleged co-perpetrators. The second point is that it's just going to it doesn't necessarily follow that they will be charged, although it is a logical outcome. But I say that because the ICC usually prioritizes the most guilty. It is not an institution with unlimited resources, and it also has other cases. So in this instance, they will make decisions based on who is the most responsible.
Okay. Oh, the one I was referring to a while ago was made. The statement by Duterte was made in September 2018 when he said, "Anong kasalanan ko? Nagnakaw ba ako dyan ng piso? Ang kasalanan ko lang yung mga extrajudicial
2018.
killing." Yeah.
So early on in his term.
Oh yeah. 2018 September. During the oath-taking of new career executive service officers in Malacanang. Yun ang sinabi niya. Anong kasalanan ko? Nagnakaw ba ako diyan ni piso? Ang kasalanan ko lamang yung mga extrajudicial killings.
On the defense side, Professor Tu, what can you see in terms of their potential avenues for in terms of the angles that they might try to push? We already know, of course, of the jurisdiction question. They've been questioning the jurisdiction of the court from the very start. But what other angles could there be that they could push here?
Yes. So apart from the jurisdiction, I think they will challenge the process in which all of this had unfolded, including the fitness to stand trial and other issues where their claims have been denied. So they're just going to create a picture that this entire process was not fair to the former president, including, of course, the question of surrender without protection and violation of rights. The other thing is that it's why it is critical for the prosecution to establish that he is an indirect co-perpetrator, because the defense will probably introduce evidence to cut the chain of command or the line of causation from the top to the bottom. I think that evidence that there is no such link to the perpetrators, the actual perpetrators, would be a significant piece of evidence.
What would that look like, Prof? That's interesting. How would they make that case that there was a break in the link between the top to the bottom?
They will introduce confusion as to whether there was an order at all. To your point earlier, maybe They will characterize those statements exactly like they're not orders, but they're jokes, that they were expected not to be followed, or that they will characterize the perpetrators to be rogue agents that are not part of a chain of command, things like that.
Prof, let me also ask about that. No, of course, this was spread over several years. I do recall several times in his speeches while he was president, Duterte would say would drop some statements that are quite
In-
inflammatory, but at the same time hahabulan niya ng
Joke lang.
Hindi lang joke lang but hahabulan niya ng kung lumaban.
Qualifiers.
Oh, may qualifier bigla na ganon. Not all the time, pero there were many times that he would also add that qualifier even after he talks about orders a bloody war. That's one. But on the other hand as well, I think if I remember right, in a House hearing, as former president already, Duterte also acknowledged that he told the police to try to incite suspects into fighting back, so that they could justify shooting them. I'm wondering lang how all these things would weigh on the pretrial chamber.
Yes, I think it will certainly be part of the defense that if they are a part of the defense, other than the chain of command, or the link is also to justify the killings themselves, because self-defense on the part of the police would certainly be resonant, because it is common among jurisdictions. So that's going to be part of the defense. But of course, the pretrial chamber is trained to assess credibility, especially if like qualifiers or jokes are being made together with a sentence. Again, they're all going to be taken as a whole, in totality and in context. So even if the tone was a joke, but given his personality and given how certain things happen after certain jokes are made, that's going to weigh in on the analysis of credibility.
And then just very quickly, Prof, I know you have to go, but is it correct that the chamber will also decide on his detention petition for interim release this week? I don't know if you've... I know
I think that's something...
I know it's been denied already twice, but I think they're...
Yes. But I think it is built in the rules that they will evaluate his detention regularly. So even if
annual
the
evaluation
defense does not claim,
Oh, you're
yes,
right.
because his health could deteriorate across the time period.
Yes, you're right. They did tell us about that protocol last year. Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for talking to us and explaining all of that. That was Attorney Mike Tew, the head of International Criminal Law at the UP Institute of International Legal Studies. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Prof. At this point, punta tayo sa House of Representatives. The impeachment complaints
To talk about the other Duterte.
VP Sara Duterte has been initiated. And now let's bring in our reporter from the House. We have Marian Enriquez. Marian, kamusta dyan?
Yes, Bok Reg, na-refer na nga sa House Committee on Justice itong 4 na impeachment complaints laban kay Vice President Sara Duterte. Ibig sabihin po, deemed initiated o nag-umpisa na ang impeachment laban kay Vice President Sara dito sa Kamara. Umpisa na rin ng 1-year bar rule o ibig sabihin bawal na nga may maghain ng panibagong impeachment complaint laban kay VP Sara sa loob ng 1 taon. Inaasahan na rin magtatakda ng araw kung kailan tatalakayin ang mga reklamo sa komite para tukuyin kung sufficient in form and substance ang mga ito. Ayon dun sa isa sa mga endorser ng impeachment complaints na si House Deputy Minority Leader at ML Party List Representative Leila de Lima, ay inaasahang maaaring sa Lunes mag-umpisa ang deliberasyon ng Justice Committee. Nauna nang ginit ni de Lima na malakas ang ebidensya at lulusot sa forma at laman ang mga reklamong impeachment laban sa bise. Samantala, naniniwala si ACT Chairs Party List Representative Antonio Tino na may basbas ng liderato ng Kamara ang impeachment laban kay VP Sara. Lalo't ang ika-4 na reklamo ay inendorso mismo ng ilang leader ng Kamara na sina House Deputy Speaker Paulo Ortega at gayon na rin si House Committee on Human Rights na si Chairperson na si Benny Abante. Pero itinanggi ito ni Ortega, pati yung ugong na may basbas umano ni dating Speaker Romualdez, yung ikaapat nga na reklamo, giit niya, personal niyang desisyon ito at giit pa nga ni Ortega halos pareho raw yung reklamo ng 19th Congress at ito nga kanilang inendorso at parang deja vu nga raw yung nangyari. Umaasa rin si Ortega na susuportahan ng lakas CMD party itong impeachment ng vice sa plenaryo. Balik sa inyo.
Okay, so as per protocol, unahin muna yung determination of sufficiency in form.
Inform.
Diba? Basically,
Tama.
kung tick boxes lang naman yun and then you go into substance. Yun ang mas masalimot compared to the form.
Yes, tama ka dyan. So katulad nung BBM impeachment deliberation, isang araw yung kada complaint yung inilaan nila, no? Isang araw kada complaint yung inilaan nila para sa tukuyin nga i-determine yung sufficiency in substance doon sa, gayon din yung gagawin nila kay VP Sara na impeachment.
Marian,
yung form, tama ka, madali lang yan.
Marian, sorry, I might have missed this reporting mo, pero was there a timeline attached to this?
Actually, yan yung, Reg, yan yung hinihingi pa natin sana ng impormasyon o detalye sa mismong chairperson ng Committee on Justice na si Jervy Luistro. Pero sa ngayon ay hinihintay pa natin kung kailan niya tayo mapapaunlakan ng panayam. Pero kanina, ayon nga kay De Lima, isa doon sa mga endorser at kanina parang nag-meeting na rin yung House Rules Committee umaasa siya na masisimulan na rin sa lalong madaling panahon itong deliberasyon ng House Committee on Justice at baka raw Monday mag-umpisa yung deliberasyon. Kung maalala po ninyo, ganun din yung nangyari kay BBM nung nakaraan buwan. Monday, ni-refer sa House Committee on Justice and then the next Monday, umpisa na ng deliberasyon.
Because they also have how many days?
3 days, diba?
Oo. I can't remember. Was it 3 or 10?
Teka.
To refer it to the Justice
for
Committee.
3 days for the 3
For the
days
referral.
after malagay sa order of business
Oo.
for it to be referred to the Justice Committee. Anyway, ito referral na to So, umanda na yung bola. Ito nata yung 60 days, no?
Yes. 60 session days. Pero maalala niyo ninyo sa ilalim na
60
nung
calendar
desisyon
days
ng
in
Korte
session.
Suprema, calendar days in session. So, 3 araw sa isang linggo. Depende po yan kung may holiday.
So, parang
yun yung,
dalawang
titingnan
linggo
natin.
yun.
5 months.
Marian, I wonder if nabasa, were the reporters able to get a hold of the 4 complaints or hindi nyo nakita?
Yung 4 complaints, sinubukan natin humingi ng reklamo, yung kopya ng mga impeachment complaints ng bawat grupo naghain nito. So, yun yung ating kinukolekta nga sa mga oras na
Okay.
to.
Okay.
Actually, yung huling nga impeachment complaint, yung 4th, nakita natin, halos katulad nga talaga nung ika-4 ring na reklamo o yung na-refer doon sa Senado na i-transmit nila nung 19th Congress nung in-impeach si VP Sara. Halos pareho, 7 articles din yung inilatag nila, silimulan yun doon sa pagbabanta ni VP Sara, doon sa kina PBBM,
Yes.
At sunod-sunod yung confidential funds,
Oo.
allegations ng misuse, and then yung bribery nga sa mga DepEd officials. So lahat yung 4 na yon ang dagdag lamang ay yung affidavit o yung testimonya nung alleged bagman umano ni VP Sara na si Ramil Madriaga.
Okay, so the 4 complaints do not vary much in substance. Pare-pareho yung articles, more or less.
Yes, tama ka, Reg.
Okay.
Lahat ng 4 na yon, same din yung 4 na nag-file noong 90th Congress at lahat
okay.
din yung 4 na yon ang dinagdag si Madriaga.
Okay.
At dahil na-initiate na itong impeachment complaint na ito, ang tindahan sarado na. So, tama ba na hindi na pwedeng idaan dun sa second method of impeachment, yung like what they did last year, na yung ratsada, yung
1/3 vote.
minimum of all members of Congress?
Tama ka, Bok. Sarado na po ang tindahan. Bawal na may magpa-file ng panibagong impeachment complaint kay VP Sara. Simula po ngayon at sa loob po yan ng 1 taon. Bawal na rin yung sinasabi ngang fast-track mode, yung 1/3 na mga mambabatas ay maaaring mag-file ng impeachment laban sa bise.
So, pati yung fast track mode is sarado na rin. Nada na yun.
Tama.
Nada.
Lahat ng mode.
Okay.
Okay. we'll leave that there. Thank you so
Balita mo
much.
kung may pagbabago dun sa ano. So, malamang sa hindi, Lunes, no?
Lunes, sana.
Magsisimula
We'll see.
dun sa sufficiency in form and then in substance.
Tama.
Because now they're operating under a very stringent clock and tight talk because of the Supreme Court decision, di ba? Okay.
Naman, 60 days. Mababa yun. Session days yan.
Session days. The definition has changed, remember?
Calendar days with session.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your reporting, Marian Enriquez, News 5 correspondent.
Kasi kung bibilangan mo, di ba, 3 sessions nga per week, so 60 sessions.
Hindi ko alam
days.
which
20
Duterte
weeks
to
yun.
tackle today. The ICC confirmation of charges hearing or the impeachment? Okay, pero balik tayo kay because the bigger news today, I guess, is
breaking
former
story, of
President Duterte at the ICC. As Professor Mike Chu was saying, the question at the heart of this case is, will the prosecution be able to prove command responsibility? They're not questioning here.
Make the link. Make the
Make that
connection.
link. And will that connection be substantial enough to proceed to trial? Because again, recap ko lang yung process here. There could be 3 different outcomes from this week, the end of this week. Today is just the first day. Then we've got Tuesday, then Thursday and Friday for the confirmation of charges hearing. But we'll recap that after we come back. We just need to take a very quick break. You're watching Storycon. Please stay with us.
This is the Story Conference Group or the Storycon Group.
We've got developing news in the stories behind the headlines. Welcome back to Storycon, the Story Conference. I'm Ed Lingao.
And I'm Regina Lay. We are awaiting the start of the confirmation of charges hearing of former President Rodrigo Duterte at the ICC. I'm going to recap what we are expecting to happen today. Again, the confirmation of charges hearing will kick off at 5:30 p.m. our time, technically 10 a.m. at The Hague, but because there's a 30-minute delay in the broadcast, it will kick off 5:30 p.m. our time. Duterte is facing 3 counts of crimes against humanity charges, all framed around 3 sets of periods. First, when he was the murders in and around Davao during his mayoral period, attributed to the Davao Death Squad. The second is the murders of the so-called high-value targets, and the third, as of course, the broader killings during the national the war on drugs, the
barangay
Tokhang.
clearance,
So the period, the charged period spans November 2011 to March 2019, and after that, of course, we all know what happened. The Philippines pulled out of the Rome Statute. The confirmation of charges hearing will open with the judges reading the charges that Duterte is facing, followed by opening statements from 3 groups. First, the prosecution, then the what's known as the CLRV. So that's an acronym that's going to come up time and time again throughout this case. Common Legal Representative of the Victims. So again, this is the representative, the CLRV, that represents the victims. And finally, the defense will also get to give their opening statement. That is for day 1.
Pero
And then-
hati-hati yan. You have
Hati-hati
breaks
yan.
in between.
You have breaks in between. The prosecution gets 30 minutes, then they go to a quick 30-minute break, and then after that, the CLRV gives their opening statement, and then finally, the defense gives their opening statement as well. And again, there are 3 possible outcomes out of this week. Number 1, the judges could decide to confirm the charges and send the case to trial. Number 2, they could decline to send the case to trial if there were insufficient grounds. And finally, they could adjourn and then ask the prosecution to submit more evidence. As Professor Mike Chu earlier told us, there's also a possibility they might amend the charges.
So there's 3A and 3B. One is to ask the prosecution to come up with more evidence. The other one is just amend the charges.
If they see something there, but it's not, it doesn't meet the threshold of substantial grounds, in relation to the charges that he is facing, then they might ask for more time and adjourn and then ask for more evidence. The pretrial chamber after this week has 60 days to issue their decision.
Let's calendar days, hindi siya session days.
Dito lang using session day. Mali, wrong case, wrong case. That's for the impeachment.
Iba Duterte yun. Okay. I think our...
Hindi ko alam. I haven't gotten the cue if the reporter is ready.
yan. She's ready na.
Okay. Let's get out to
Mukhang nilalamig
check
din
in
siya.
on the situation on the ground at The Hague. One News anchor Angela Lagunzad Castro is live for us there. Angela, what?
Hi, Ed and Regina. We're here right now at the International Criminal Court in The Hague, Netherlands, wherein the confirmation of charges of former President Rodrigo Duterte will take place today. Actually, this is the first day, of the confirmation of charges. So in this hearing, judges will determine whether the prosecution has presented enough evidence to move the case forward to a full trial in connection with allegations of crimes against humanity linked to his anti-drug campaign. Although Duterte has chosen not to appear in person, the pretrial chamber is proceeding with the process. And in the coming days, the prosecution will outline its evidence, the defense will respond, and lawyers representing the victims are also expected to address the court. For the victims, this is actually a step forward to accountability, but for the defense, this is actually an opportunity for them to defend the case filed against Duterte, and they have to make sure that the allegations are wrong and the evidence is insufficient. As I've said, today is the first day of the confirmation of charges. We'll be expecting opening of the confirmation hearing, reading of charges, opening statements of prosecution, victims, counsel, and of course, the defense. And kung may oras pa, baka today din yung prosecution submission on the merits. So, tama po kayo dyan, Regina and Ed. There are 3 possible outcomes, after matapos nga itong prosecution of charges ni Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte. One would be mako-confirm ang kanyang cases at we will proceed to trial. 2, walang mako-confirm na case at hindi muna magkakaroon ng trial. 3, baka ibalik ng pre-trial chamber judges ang mga evidence sa prosecution para pagtibayin pa ito. So far, yun pa lang ang nangyayari ngayon dahil magsa-start na in a few, let's say 15 minutes,
15 minutes.
The Hague time ang confirmation of charges dito sa ICC. Back to you, Ed and Regina.
Pero, sige, go.
No, we already know what the basic outline of what's going to happen today, but I'm more interested in what's going on around you sa labas. What is it?
Right
sounds,
now,
it seems pretty
kasi,
quiet, pero marami bang...
kakalating lang nila. Let me show this to you. Hold on. Where is that? Okay. May dalawang foreigner here. Meron silang plaque. Stop abductions in Kenya and Uganda. So, this is not actually related to what's happening right now. But somehow, siguro kasi nga human rights din yung kanilang pinaglalaban. Dalawa lang sila dito na pumunta, sakto lang din na pag tayo ko dito, siyang dating nila.
Pero yung mga pro-Duterte groups, overseas workers, are they in the same venue or may ibang venue dyan sa ICC? Kasi I think you're nasa harapan kata ng pinaka-headquarters.
Yes. But normally, everyday nga pupunta dito yung mga Duterte supporters. Pero dun sila sa may ICC Detention Center.
Sa detention center.
Sa Scheveningen. Tama ba yung pag-pronounce ko nun? Dun sila sa gilid dun. Doon sila nagtitipon-tipon everyday, nagdadala ng pagkain from morning until afternoon.
That's a different building.
Pero this time, today, kasi dito sa may bandang gilid din ng ICC, nagkaroon ng protest against Duterte by the Duterte Panagutin Network. Doon sa side, meron din daw permit yung mga pro-Duterte na nakita ko rin doon. Pero at that time na nakita ko sila, an hour ago, konti pa lang sila. Pero ngayon, some people are approaching ICC through the public entrance kasi sila ay manonood din doon sa trial today. So yun pa lang yung mga nangyayari today on the ground.
So that's the buildings behind you, they're not The detention
This is the
center.
ICC itself. No, ano kasi yung
That's
detention
also-
center sa kabila yun sa
Okay.
siguro mga 5 to 7 minutes away
Okay.
from here
Okay. And-
ICC detention center in Scheveningen.
And that's also not where the confirmation of charges hearing will be held?
No.
The buildings behind you?
No, the confirmation of charges will be held here mismo
clear.
sa ICC office.
Okay. Have you noticed anyone of note
patient are you
walking
for?
into the
I'm sorry?
building? Oh, sorry, there was a abrupt.
Somebody was speaking. But anyway,
Somebody was
can you hear
speaking.
some?
Yes, what's that, Regina? Sorry.
Did you notice anyone recognizable or of note, anybody of note walking into the ICC building to attend
Today,
the confirmation of
nakita ko
charges
na
hearing?
at nakausap ko si Attorney Nery Colmenares, ang lawyer ng mga victims dito sa Philippines. Actually, noong 2018 sila nga yung nag-file ng charges dito sa ICC. At kanina, bago rin pumasok, few moments ago, hinata ko si Attorney Salpanelo dun sa entrance ng ICC. Sabi ko, kausapin ko lang siya saglit. So yun nga, he's here with other members ng legal counsel ni former President Rodrigo Duterte, Filipino legal counsel, pero as of this time, sabi ni Attorney Salpanelo ay mag-observe lang talaga sila sa mangyayari today. He hasn't spoken to former President Rodrigo Duterte yet, and hindi pa rin niya nakausap pa si Attorney Kaufman, ang legal counsel ni Duterte. So ngayon talaga sabi niya wala siyang masabi kasi sabi niya talagang mag-observe lang muna sila today.
Angela, you can hear some voices around you.
Oo, sila sila yung sinasabi ko sa iyo na dumating dito na ang kanilang mission ay to stop the silence on Ugandan torture.
I think he's behind you right
stop
now.
abductions.
He's
Ibang
trying to
grupo
bomb
ito This
the
is
live
not
shot.
actually related to President Rodrigo Duterte.
Okay. But as far as the Duterte issue is concerned, wala sila dyan at this point. Nandun sila sa detention center, which is 5 minutes away nga, sabi mo. Wala nagpupunta dyan?
Yung mga pro-Duterte.
Whether pro or anti?
Sorry, mga anti-Duterte. Kanina
No, pro or
nandito
anti?
sila So, sabi nila meron din daw silang lugar dito, pero konti lang sila kanina. Pero usually nga, ordinarily, doon sila sa may detention center, sa gilid. Doon sila talaga tumatambay. Ngayon, clear ang area ko ngayon dito ng any anti-Duterte supporter or pro-Duterte supporter.
Could it be? I guess you haven't gone inside, no, Angela. So you don't
No,
know.
hindi pa
Oh, so you don't know who's in the gallery already waiting for the confirmation
hindi
of
pa,
charges
oo.
hearing.
After ko makausap kayo, I'll go inside.
Okay. And then just lastly, very quickly, you said you spoke to Attorney Colmenares. What was the mood like? And what is he thinking? He's representing the victims today, right?
Oh, yeah. Sino? Sorry, I can't hear you.
Si Colmenares. Si Attorney Colmenares.
Well, I asked him, sabi ko, what is he feeling right now? Sabi niya, masaya siya, but he looks exhausted, kasi talagang actually magkasama kami sa flight, going here sa Netherlands nung isang araw. So I talked to him in the airport. He's very confident. He's looking forward for this process, like what I've said kanina, kasi this is a step forward to accountability for the victims. At finally, kahit may 5 months na delay, sabi niya ay matutuloy na itong confirmation of charges. He's looking forward na talagang ma-confirm ang mga charges against Duterte para magkaroon na talaga ng full trial. Kanina, on the way here, papasok siya sa public entrance para sa mga manonood ng confirmation of charges si Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte. Mukha siyang pagod na, pero sabi niya hopeful siya, masaya siya na ito na nga, this is the day na pinakakaabangan nila, most importantly ng mga victims.
All right. Okay, we'll leave that there. Thank you so much for your reporting. That was One News anchor Angela Lagudsad Castro reporting live from
Thanks, Angela.
The Hague at the Netherlands.
Bok, ito yung threshold that I was talking about. Under Article 61 of the Rome Statute, the pretrial chamber shall, on the basis of the hearing, determine whether there is sufficient evidence to establish substantial grounds
Yes, correct.
to believe that the person committed each of the crimes charged. Once, under Article 61, once the charges have been confirmed, the presidency shall constitute a trial chamber which shall be responsible for the conduct of subsequent proceedings.
Correct. So the threshold is pretty high, it sounds like.
Substantial
They're
grounds.
looking for substantial grounds, not even just a hint of suspicion, not
In a way, parang probable cause.
small
sa
evidence.
atin.
Yes, correct. I know you keep trying to find a local
Parallel.
parallel corresponding process, but it doesn't sound like there is.
May,
And a lot of people
may
may
similarities with differences.
Oh, may similarities.
Sabi nga ni Professor kanina, in a way, para sa preliminary investigation, pero in this case, you have a set of judges, yung pre-trial chamber one,
who are deciding
that will
on the
decide
merits
whether
of the evidence.
to move it to trial.
Because they ultimately have to look at the evidence and say, is this substantial enough? Does it meet the threshold that we're looking for?
In the Philippine context kasi that's the fiscal yung prosecutor.
And does all of that obviously prove command responsibility? Because as Professor Chu pointed out, the ICC usually only focuses on the most guilty in this case. So that's why he said it's also not clear if the other 9 co-perpetrators named will be facing formal charges at all. Okay, well, in about an hour, several so-called Justice Watch events will be in full swing all around the city. Mobile journalist Arles de los Reyes is
Santos.
in Quezon.
De
Sorry.
Santos.
I'm so sorry. Arles de los Santos. I don't know where I got Reyes. Is in Quezon City with a live update for us. Arles, they call it ICC viewing party.
Magandang hapon, Reg at Bok. Nandito nga tayo ngayon sa University of the Philippines College of Law kung saan nga nakatakda na magsimula na yung online viewing na tinatawag nila. Not sure lang if you can call it a party, no, but at least for them it's an online viewing ng confirmation of charges nga laban kay Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte kung saan bago magsimula yung kanilang programa ipinahayag nila ang kanilang posisyon nga dito sa nila ay paulit-ulit na nade-delay na pagharap ng dating Pangulo sa confirmation of charges laban sa kanya. No, nakikita na daw nila yung paulit-ulit at patong-patong ng motion na isinasampa ng kampo ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte dahilan nga raw para hindi lamang madelay yung trial kundi madelay na rin yung matagal na nilang inaasam na hustisya para sa kanilang mga kaanak dahil nandito kasama sa mga manonood yung ilan sa mga kapatid, asawa at kamag-anak ng mga naging biktima ng umano'y extrajudicial killings kaugnay nga ng administrasyon ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte. Anila, 10 dekada na daw no mula nang nagsimula itong pulisiya na ito no ni Duterte at hanggang ngayon daw ay nananatiling mailap yung hustisya para sa mga kaanak, sa mga pamilya nito no. At kanina nga nagkaroon pa ng rally kaninang umaga sa Boy Scout Circle sa Timog kung saan nga yung Akbayan Party List, Tindig Pilipinas, pati yung iba pa ulit ng mga kaanak ng mga biktima ng EJK ay nananawagan na i-convict na raw ng ICIC dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte dahil naniniwala sila na may sapat daw na basihan ang mga reklamo na kanyang kinahaharap. No? Ibinahagi din nila kung paano yung naging proseso, yung nangyari mismo ng gabi na kung saan pumanaw yung kanilang kamag-anak na ngayon daw nananatili na nararamdaman yung epekto nito sa mga kamag-anak at mga naulila nito. So anytime now, magsisimula na yung online viewing dito. May ilang mga personalidad na rin dumating. Nandito na si dating Gabriela Party List Representative Liza Maza at inaasahan natin na mas dadami pa yan at isa lamang ito sa online viewing na gagawin kaugnay ng pagbabasa ng mga charges laban kay Duterte. Meron pa sa iba't ibang mga rehiyon ng bansa at kabukod pa dyan, ito raw ay bahagi ng doon sa paparating na 40th anniversary ng EDSA People Power na sasagawa sa EDSA mismo. Bok at Reg.
Okay, maraming salamat sa iyo, mobile journalist Arles de los Santos.
I am so sorry, Arles. What did I see, Reyes?
Okay, thank you, Arles. Now we bring in Attorney Raul Sarmiento, international law professor, also the Vice Chancellor for Administration of the University of St. La Salle College of Law. Attorney, welcome to Storycon and thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Maraming salamat po and good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, what we're trying to divine here, we've been trying to divine for the past so many days, is what exactly should we watch out for in terms of, proving or disproving the connections, di ba? The alleged crime and the alleged perpetrator. Kasi when you say substantial grounds, that sounds so generic. What exactly are we looking for?
And we know already from the prosecution's filings that they are accusing Duterte of a so-called common plan to carry out the EJ case. But specifically, what will substantial grounds look like here?
First po, let me run you through yung mga different thresholds with respect to the International Criminal Court. No? First, for purposes of warrant of arrest, yung language po ng Rome Statute is reasonable grounds to believe. That is for purposes of the issuance of a warrant of arrest. And then for purposes of confirmation of hearing, so mas mataas po na threshold, so that is now substantial grounds to believe. And then for purposes, so nandun po yun sa Article 61 ng Rome Statute and then sa Article 66 ng Rome Statute, for purposes of conviction, yung siyempre po, yun yung beyond reasonable doubt na threshold. So yung substantial grounds to believe, yung importante po doon is that may sufficient evidence to establish na may substantial grounds to believe. Now, we have to take note po na there will be no actual presentation of witnesses na mangyayari. Normally, that is the procedure. Normally, what will be presented only are documentary evidence and minsan po just summary evidence. Kasi po yung mga actual witnesses will be presented during the trial proper after or assuming na there will be confirmation of the charges against the former president, Rodrigo Duterte.
You mean, sir, a formal submission of evidence, documentary evidence. In other words, babasahin ito ng pre-trial chamber in the 60 days following the start of the COC.
Opo. They will study that, and then if they are convinced that the evidence is sufficient to bring him to trial, dun na po magkakaano confirmation of the charges.
But sir, in which case, will we have an idea in the next 4 days kung malusog ba yung ebidensya ng prosecution? Kasi nga, if it's all documentary evidence, they will have to produce
technically, we will be able to make an assessment. Although, of course, yung assessment natin, mga personal opinion and evaluation lang yun. Ultimately, it will be the court which will evaluate kung talagang sufficient bang evidence. And of course, that's for the purpose of not wasting the time and effort of the court na you will bring a person to actual trial and then hindi naman pala sufficient yung evidence against him. So kaya nga, if you notice under Article 61 of the Rome Statute, may tatlong options or may tatlong possibility after the conduct of the confirmation of charges hearing. So number one, pwedeng i-confirm ng court yung charges. And when we say confirm the charges, hindi po requirement na lahat ng charges need to be confirmed. Hindi po all for one for all yun. So kahit na po isa lang sa mga charges ang confirmed, then it will go to trial. And then for the charges that are not confirmed, either may option in prosecution of either amending the charges or pwede rin po they can conduct further investigation and then present additional evidence, but that will require another confirmation if there will be new charges that will be alleged or filed by the prosecution team. And then yung second possibility is if the court does not, based on its appreciation, there is no sufficient evidence, then it will decline to confirm the charges. And then yung third possibility, it will just adjourn the hearing, adjourn the confirmation of charges hearing, and then either recommend for further investigation or submission of additional evidence, or if the court believes na the evidence proves a different crime, not the one actually charged, then they can actually recommend or call for the amendment of the charges.
Attorney Sarmiento, of course we know that Duterte has waived his right to appear today despite being ruled, fit to do so. I've asked other lawyers this, but I'm also interested in your opinion. Is there any significance there? And does the defense gain anything by keeping him away from the judges at this point?
The purpose of the presence of the accused is actually for the benefit of the accused, and that is to protect, because that's one of the rights of the accused, yung presence niya during trial. And of course, for practicality's sake, if you are present physically during the confirmation of charges, your legal counsel will be able to coordinate with you, consult you immediately, and then there can be an immediate feedback and decision on these matters. So if you are not around, so that will require your legal counsel will have to make a decision without you, and then either consult you during the break or by the evening after yung adjournment on a day-to-day basis, and then ganun yun. Pero so technically wala po siyang masyadong that significant na effect on the continuation of the proceedings. And besides, it's the right at this particular stage of the confirmation of charges hearing, it is the right of the defense or the accused in this particular case to be present or not. But it will be different in the actual trial. Kasi po in the actual trial, it is mandatory. Yung presence of the accused is now mandatory. So sabi po ng Rome Statute under Article 63 na the accused shall be present during the proceedings. Although of course in exceptional circumstances, pwede pa rin po yung the court may allow like yung presence through video link. But that is usually decided by the court on a case-to-case basis, depending on the circumstances of the particular case.
Prof, walang arraignment, no? I mean, there's no such thing as a pleading, whether you're asked if you're pleading innocent or guilty.
The way we understand it, sa domestic proceedings po, no, wala po dun sa...
Well, so there are three possible outcomes after this week. If the judges decide to the case has enough substantial grounds to proceed to trial, can the defense appeal that as well? Because remember, even this confirmation of charges hearing was already delayed because they appealed it. Dapat, if I recall, this was supposed to have been held in September of last year. And then the defense appealed it, which is how we got to this point. They appealed it based on medical grounds, saying that Duterte was unfit to stand trial. So yeah, if they decide, yes, it has substantial grounds to proceed to trial, can the defense appeal it again?
No, normally po hindi po appealable yun because the normal course after that is now to convene the pretrial chamber, which will now hear the evidence and witnesses for that particular charges confirmed by the pretrial chamber.
So no, there's no more appeals process after this. Straight into trial na tayo.
Opo, normal.
With what you know about with this case and how the prosecution has prepared, how would they determine? So we know, for example, that there are 47 cases that they are using as representative for this three crimes against humanity charges, right? But we also know that at least 500 other victims have applied to become part of the case file. What do you know about how they would divide up all those cases in the confirmation of charges hearing part versus the actual trial part?
I think the actual trial part, no, kasi divided naman po ito sa different counts, no. So by time frame po ito, like for example, yung first count, yung when he was as mayor of Davao, and then at the beginning of the presidency, and then during the clear period towards the end of the last 2 years before our withdrawal from the International Criminal Court from the Rome Statute. So magiging orderly naman po. Although of course I can just imagine yung logistics and everything. It will also be messy, and this will also be very, very difficult on the part of the prosecution, especially in establishing all these charges, especially with the threshold of beyond reasonable doubt, which is required as the international standard for purposes of conviction. And we must understand this is not a very simple case because this is not just the ordinary murder under domestic law na alam po natin under the revised penal code na murder, na killing under certain circumstances. Yung murder po as a crime against humanity, so it has a different, it has different elements which are not in the ordinary crime of murder, because the prosecution will have to establish the contextual element of widespread and systematic attack against a civilian population. So even establishing the multiplicity of killings, even if they are able to establish that, they will have to establish that those killings were done as part of a widespread and systematic attack against a civilian population with knowledge of the attack. So medyo yun po yun actually yung medyo difficult and challenge on the part of the prosecution.
But sir, in previous cases, how were they able to make that link or establish that connection between what was happening on the ground and the possibility that it was policy initiated from the top?
Yeah. Or
Normally po they usually look into the parang holistic na view, no? They will have to look into the actions undertaken by the government, the way they implemented their policies. They can also look into the mga statements, even mga media interviews of their president, yung mga police departments nila, and then titingnan nila may pattern ba? Is there a pattern? Is this being done as a matter of policy? So parang ganun. So you have to establish that. Kasi po kung if you are not able to establish that, then all these killings will be parang considered na parang baka isolated to. Baka these are not actually being done as a matter of policy on the part of the government or on the part of the accused. So they will have parang yun yung challenge on the part of the prosecution.
But sir, I suppose another challenge is the other way around. I mean, in the last 6 years of the Duterte, in the 6 years of the Duterte administration, he was prone to giving outrageous statements, very, very public statements about killing people, killing addicts. And these were quite outrageous in the normal sense. So on one hand, you might have that na pwedeng gamiting bala against him. On the other hand, mali naman siguro sabihin ng kabila na the fact that it's so outrageous, maybe it also means that it was hyperbole or exaggeration.
Pwede po. Yung po actually yung ano doon, yung debatable na issue doon, because they will have to look into that. Kasi on the part of the defense, they will have to say na yun, either joke lang po yun, no? But they will say that on the part of the former president, they might probably say na he was also very careful na parang may caveat, but you only do this, parang may proviso na you only do this in either in case of self-defense or when your life is placed in danger, para maganon. Although tingnan na lang po natin how the evidence will go, and on my part I'm also excited to see how these things will play during the confirmation of charges hearing.
So much color, di ba?
so much color. There's so much unknown at this point that we're waiting to see how it plays out during the actual confirmation of charges hearing. But sir, what do you make of the fact that the family is sending 6 Filipino lawyers there, or have sent 6 Filipino lawyers there, led by, of course, former ES Salvador Medialdea and former presidential lawyer Salvador Panelo. I mean, what can they add to this case, as far as the defense is concerned?
Well, I would suppose that I think Kaufman had already studied this case thoroughly, but of course, yung presence of the Filipino lawyers who are from the ground, they will be able to give the real context to the situation and then give proper assistance as to the understanding of the defense, yung context of the defense on yung theory ng defense that they will be putting out against the prosecution.
So it could they could gain something by the fact that there are Filipino lawyers there who lived through that time and can defend Duterte, is what you're saying.
Well, in a way po, they might be able to help, siguro.
We've also had one other lawyer tell us that they think the defense's strategy here could be to attack the evidence, not the innocence, not necessarily prove the innocence of the man, Duterte in this case. The goal being, this is more of a tactical thing now, the goal being to poke enough holes in the evidence to show that there's not reasonable grounds to believe that it was a common plan, as the prosecution called it. What do you think? Could that work?
Well, technically naman po, kasi on the part of the defense, yung threshold po dito is that the obligation to establish the sufficiency of the evidence is actually on the prosecution. So yung Hindi po, there will be no, parang hindi pa po obligation on the part of the defense to prove the innocence of the former President Duterte. That will have to be done during the trial if the charges are confirmed. So insofar as the confirmation of charges hearing are concerned, yung pinaka focus po ng proceedings will be the sufficiency of the evidence on the part of the prosecution. If they are sufficient enough to establish sufficient grounds to believe na the crimes had been committed by the former president. So yung focus po doon will be the prosecution evidence. So naturally po, yung focus of the defense will be to find holes, to find inconsistencies, to find weaknesses on the part of the prosecution's evidence.
Sounds like that's one of the recourses available to them. We'll leave that there for now, but we'll call you back in, Attorney, after the confirmation of charges hearing. Then we can unpack it together once more. But thanks so much for your time today,
Thanks, sir.
for talking to us. International
Anytime.
Law Professor,
Thank you very much.
Attorney Ralph Sarmiento.
And we're on till 5:30. Storycon will be right back after a quick break. Please stay tuned.
This is the Story Conference Group or the Storycon Group.
Welcome back. You're on Storycon. This is the last stretch of the program. I'm Regina Lay. My partner Ed Lingao had to run off because he's also doing Una sa Lahat on News 5. So with me now, we've got Pauline Versosa, who will be doing the One News special from 5:30 p.m. onwards. By special, I mean the Duterte at the Hague confirmation of charges hearing special, which kicks off in 15 minutes.
Just 15 minutes. So in 5:30, the confirmation of charges hearing of the former president will be taking place before the ICC. 5:30, Reg, because there's that 30-minute delay, right?
Correct.
But it's supposed to be starting already, right now, 5
yes,
p.m., right?
Exactly.
In the Netherlands. So it is a very pivotal day in the country's history. As we mentioned, former President Duterte will be finding out if his charges will be confirmed today. The three parties will be presenting their arguments. You have the defense, the prosecution, and even the victims. So lots of things to anticipate.
The prosecution, the victims, as we said earlier, will be represented by, it's an acronym, CLRV, Common Legal Representative of the Victims. And then finally, the defense will also get a chance to present their case, or at least the opening remarks. Each camp will get 30 minutes at the start. And again, there's three possible outcomes from this week. The case could go to trial, the case could not go to trial, or the judges could decide that they need more evidence. Okay, meanwhile in Davao City, Duterte supporters are also monitoring their former mayor's confirmation of charges hearing at the ICC. The details, let's get out to News 5 correspondent Bril Montalvo, who joins us now. Bril, what's going on there?
Regina, hiling ngayon ng mga taga-supporters ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte dito sa Davao City na mabasura na ang kanyang kaso sa ICC at makabalik na dito sa lungsod. Hindi naniniwala ang mga Davaoenyo at mga taga-suporta ni FPRRD na may nagawa siyang kasalanan na extrajudicial killing sa kanyang kampanya kontra iligal na droga sa kanyang administrasyon noon. Nila mas nakakatulong pa umano ang kanyang programa sa war on drugs noon dahil naging payapa at bumaba ang krimen. Kumpara ngayon na muling naglipan na umano ang mga drogista sa bansa. Ang ibang Davaoenyo naman naging emosyonal dahil sa sinapit ni Tatay Digong ngayon na nakakulong sa ICC Detention Facility sa The Hague, Netherlands. May hiling din sila sa Marcos administration na sana ibalik na ang dating Pangulo sa Davao City. Samantala, hindi nakadalo kanina sa flag raising ceremony dito sa Davao City Hall. Kaninang umaga sina Mayor Baste Duterte at Vice Mayor Rigo Duterte. Sa ngayon, wala pa rin nakalatag na mga programa o aktibidad dito sa lungsod bilang suporta kay dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte. Inaantabayan na natin dito sa Davao City kung may biglaan bang mga aktibidad dito para sa isasagawang confirmation of charges ni FPRD doon nga sa Dahig. Gayunpaman, nakahanda ang kapulisan sakaling magkaroon nga ng pagtitipon ang mga anti at pro-Duterte dito sa lungsod. Regina?
Sorry, Bril, can I just clarify? Did you say walang nangyayari dyan? Walang na-organize na events or pagtitipon?
Yes, tama ka nga dyan, Regina. Kanina pa tayong umaga nakaantabay nga dito sa Davao City Hall grounds kung saan dito madalas ang mga aktibidad in support with former President Rodrigo Duterte. Pero ngayong araw nakakapagtataka kasi tahimik dito sa paligid ng City Hall grounds at wala tayong nakikita ng mga taga-suporta ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte na nandito nagtipon-tipon para sa isang aktibidad. Regina.
Brill, this is Paulina, no? Asa naman yung mga kaanak ng dating Pangulo? Would you know where they are monitoring or if some of them even flew to The Hague to witness this trial or this confirmation of charges hearing?
Pauline, wala pa tayong impormasyon kung nasaan ang mga magkakapatid na Duterte, particular sila Mayor Baste, kasi kanina nga hindi siya nakadalo dito sa Monday flag ceremony ng City Hall at maging si Congressman Pulong Duterte at itong ang si Kitty. Pero si VP Sara, ayon nga sa ating source, ay nasa Manila daw ngayon at may mga private meetings. Wala pa silang inilabas na pahayag ang pamilya Duterte hinggil sa mangyayaring confirmation of charges mamaya kay dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte. At sinubukan din natin silang hinga ng reaksyon tungkol dito, particular si VP Sara, pero wala pa siyang tugon. Pero nanindigan naman ang pamangkin ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte na si Congressman Harold Duterte na ang mangyayaring confirmation of charges mamaya sa The Hague ay plain and simple politics lamang. Pauline.
You're right, Brill, no? Kanina, we know that Vice President Sara Duterte was in Nasugbu, in Batangas. She attended a liga ng mga barangay ng Occidental Mindoro Convention. So you're waiting on word from her, but do you know at this point nasaan yung common law wife ni former President Duterte, si Hanilet Avancenia, as well as his daughter, Kitty Duterte?
Regina, pero yun lang natin, yung sinabi mo na activity nga ni VP Sara yung sa Nasugbu, Batangas is noong nakaraang Sabado pa yun. Siguro late posting lang yun sa yung nangyari sa kanyang kampo. Pero in terms of ito nga common law wife ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte na si Hanilet Avancenia, ay ayon nga sa ating source ay nandito lang sila sa Davao City kasama si Kitty Duterte, ang kanilang anak. Pero wala tayong exact information kung nasaan sila particular. Regina.
Okay. Well, we'll check back in with you, Brill, after you get word from Vice President Sara Duterte about this confirmation of charges hearing. But thank you so much for your reporting. That was News 5 correspondent Brill Montalvo reporting live from Davao. Okay, that is it for us in Storycon. I'm Regina Lay. Pauline Verzosa will take it up from here for the Duterte's confirmation of charges hearing at The Hague. It will kick off in just a few minutes. Please stand by for that. But first, this very quick break.
This is the Story Conference Group or the Storycon Group.